Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of All the Good Men. Today, I'm joined by the fabulous Ori Dahan. Fabulous, I don't know if that's quite the right word. You are fabulous, but like not necessarily the first adjective that would come to mind. Ori is an incredible man. He does work. He is a coach, a mentor, a teacher, a facilitator in the realms of relationship mastery, sexual alchemy, shadow work, men's work. He works with men, women, and couples, but there's such a beauty in what I see and what he does in men's work and in the depth of both the shadow integration, the absolute celebration of life, the ways that we relate to others. So in Ori's work, he refers to himself as a transformation facilitator, right? Here to guide, to illuminate, to remind, to promote embodiment, empowerment, freedom, and to really in the process uncover, own, integrate all that is in the way. Ori also happens to be my ex-partner, ex-boyfriend, and my current bestie. And I'm so excited to have you here, Ori, today. Thank you so much for coming to chat with me. I love the depth of our conversations that we have always had, um, and I'm so inspired by the relationship that we have now, this deep, deep friendship that we have, and the ways that we walk side by side in this life as dear, dear friends, as family, and the ways that we support each other's work, the ways that we support each other's relationships and each other's hearts, and consistently call each other back into integrity, back into ourselves, back into our own callings, our own paths. So, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have this chat with you.
I feel like I need a deep breath after that. Thank you for the warm welcome and introduction. It's great to be here and thank you for this and for everything.
I do want to talk about our friendship and our what we've done to get to the place that we're at because it has been a journey to get here. But first and foremost, I'd love to just hear a little bit about you. Where are you at? How do you spend your time? What do you like to do? Tell us about you so that people can get a little flavor of who you is.
Flavor of me, what I like to do. I currently reside in California, NorCal, in the woods from where I'm speaking right now. What I love is spaciousness, kind of like precision with how I spend my time, with my practices, with how I choose to relate to the people I love, to my practices, to my body, to my health, to my craft, to my clients, to just life, to my prayers that I'm praying, and then also to walk them in the best way I can. I guess that is what came when you were asking this question just now.
Beautiful. I love hearing that. Also because I know you so freaking well, and I see that you really
Better
do
than
that.
most. Better than most.
I see that you really truly do that. You walk in a way that is with so much intention, so much precision. I remember we were at Burning Man last year and you were like, I think my playa name is Precision. And I was like, I think we're gonna go with shit show. But that's the beauty of you is that you are so all-encompassing. You are so precise. You are so intentional. You are so present and aware. And you also like to have a good fucking time. You like to engage with life with this, I won't say reckless abandon because you actually are so intentional with life, but you do really engage with it in such a full and deep way, which I really appreciate about you.
Yeah.
So,
I would just like to say for the record that I think
yeah.
I'm 80% precision and 20% chit chat, but it is those two do reside in there. But
Holy.
if anyone's listening,
So I'm curious with all of this, being the man who you are, who you live with so much intention, you live with so much precision, you live with so much, you're very, very intentional about everything that you do and the ways that you move through life. And I'm curious to hear what have been sort of the core transformational or catalyzing aspects of your life that have brought you to living in this way, other than having incredibly epic parents, Avi and Sarah, if you're listening. I'm sure that didn't harm, but what aspects of your life, what tools, what practices, what things that you've dedicated to yourself have really allowed you to walk in this way?
Hmm. Thank you. And hi, mom. Hi, dad, if you're listening. Um, my parents love Fabi, by the way, till this day. They're just like sending
They're
her
the
texts and stuff.
best. They're so good.
Um, that's a good question. You know what comes up when you're asking this right now? Three things come up. First of all, healing my relationship to my sexuality
Mm,
is has brought the most amount of healing and growth into my life. Then the second one I would say, and it's kind of very tightly related, is healing my relationship to my masculinity.
mm,
Um, in that, in my view, is also healing my relationship to my femininity, but it's through the healing my relationship to my masculine that got healed as well. Same journey, really. And the third one is I don't know if it would make sense to who's listening, but like cultivating, walking with prayer. Walking with prayer for me is a practice of intentionality and speaking to the force that is pulsing through my heart, the great mystery, basically, creator, God, universe, whatever anyone chooses to call it, the thing that is bigger than little old me. So, walking with that in my life and developing a practice of prayer, which is communicating with that
yeah.
and walking, yeah, holding myself accountable to what I say to that. So those are the three things that I would say I live my life by.
I love that, holding myself accountable with what I communicate in the ways that I communicate with what is greater than me, with the divine, really holding yourself accountable. For me, that is integrity. It's what we say to other people, but hugely it's what we say to ourselves and what we say to the divine, how we
Yeah,
communicate in that way.
yeah.
And in terms of healing your relationship to your own masculinity and developing the realms of your sexuality, what have been a couple of the areas that you've really leaned into the to those topics? They can kind of feel broad, I think, for a lot of people. Like, how do I lean into those things? What have been the main ways that you've done that?
Wow, good questions that I haven't prepared for, but I'm going to continue with just going with what comes up. I think that's the honest truth of the moment. When you ask this question, what arises in me is kind of like a two wings, as I call them. Like, obviously, I help men also with that. It's basically knowing how I work, getting to know what works, my blueprint, as opposed to the cookie cutter, like do this, like just read the multi-orgasmic man, or like go to a tantra workshop, or go to whatever and just do the thing that you're supposed to do and get the practices, which is helpful. But if you don't also stop, look at yourself, and understand and accept and love your blueprint, how you're built erotically, I'm gonna shift to I statement, to how I work, how my cock works, how my nervous system, what kind of touch do I love, what turns me on. So working with that versus just pushing, trying so hard to be like what I'm supposed to be, which I've done. I've done at the beginning. I got all the information, went to all the teachers, did all the practices. Then I was like, wait. What do I actually want? How do I actually work? And how do I work with that versus just like completely breaking down all the walls? It's like there's
Right.
a fucking good structure here. I love this. So how do I and in that process is basically all the shadow work and all the accepting myself and healing my relationship to who I am.
Yeah.
And with that is the second part, which is practice, and work on those things. And yeah, a lot of tools that a lot of people spend a lot of time in developing, and it's out there just for us to and apply.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like those tools give such a beautiful structure to then do the exploration within, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like I've got these practices that have many of them been around for, a few thousand years. They've got a little basis to them. And
Mm-hmm.
then within that, then there's so much space for exploration. There's so much space for what does feel true for me, what does feel real for me.
Yeah, completely. So, sexual healing, that there's some other things I would say. Like, once those got kind of like stable, then, like you say, you can expand your range. You can play with new stuff, or even it's not necessarily new, it's things in myself that I haven't explored yet. So, once I got more comfortable, I could go into like more of like my dark lover archetype, like more of like the dome, like power play, all kinds of stuff, primal, primal play, and all really juicy stuff that now are really integrating to my sexuality. And they're
Yeah.
like almost like, who was I before I completely embodied these ones? So it's an ongoing exploration, and it just gets better and better.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what, some people can approach this work as like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this course or I'm going to do this program. I'm going to study it. I'm going to learn it. And um, with this idea of there's an end goal of like, I want to last longer in bed or I want to get, be able to perform in a different way where there's sort of this idea of like, here's where I am, here's this goal. And something that I've seen with you and with some of my other male friends who practice this. I mean, all friends who practice this, but specifically right now, speaking about men, is that it's this lifelong journey of deepening and unveiling and revealing more aspects. And with, like you said, healing the masculine also means healing the feminine, healing all aspects of self and bringing more of you and exploring it and within the structure of those tools, finding your edges, finding the excitement, finding the like, wait a second, I've been doing something in one way my whole life. What happens if I take that part and I twist it around in a different way and look at it from a different angle? And it's this it's it's not the negative aspect of like the work never ends. It's the joyful aspect of like there's always more to discover. There's always more goodness there.
Mm. It just gets to keep getting better and better. It's
Yeah.
more of the vibe.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Completely.
Well, let's talk about us. So many people ask us, what did you do in order to be able to be best friends, in order to have this type of friendship, this type of connection, to really be family after splitting up? And tiny little background, we were together for about 2 years, and it was it was the second serious relationship in my life. And at least for myself, it was very much like this is who I will spend the rest of my life with. That was the way that I fully felt in our relationship. And during that time, it was so incredibly beautiful and also really challenging. There were aspects of us that lined up fucking perfectly.
Mhm.
And then there were aspects that really didn't, that were really challenging, that we struggled with, just like in any relationship. But it felt like those pieces, like there were pieces that just didn't quite work in that context. And so it was probably like 5 and a bit years ago that we, yeah, 5 and something years ago that we split up and have had this over the past 5 years, have had this transition from how do we now re-engage not being in partnership, how do we re-engage in a way that feels true for us, in a way that feels natural and real for us.
Mhm.
And when we first split up, I remember the pain, but also the absolute fear that was there. There was this fear of like, how could I love this person so much and willingly choose to end a relationship with them and therefore potentially not have them in my life? And it was like unimaginable. It felt like, how could, like, something doesn't feel right to be in this relationship, but the idea of not having this person in my life ever feels so deeply wrong. And it was so terrifying. Like that, to choose to end something that had so much love within it felt absolutely terrifying. It felt so sad and
Mhm.
so there was so much unknown in that situation. I'm curious to hear a little about what your experience was in those same realms during that time.
Very, very similar. Like the love that we discover is like, like what they say, like discover like your other half and like just like the perfect person and loving them so much. And I think we just saw things in such a similar way that it like very fast became like my home, like our home, and like just that like if with this person everything like is the best, like, and it's almost like, yeah, I spend time alone but it's better with her. So it's kind of like, the classic, the best case scenario that everyone like the love that people talk about. And like you said, there were like core things, core issues, like I think in my experience, like our traumas, like back then I didn't have that language, but like our attachment styles are like the whole thing, our shadows were dancing a very beautiful and challenging dance. And can't say we didn't try, can't say we weren't committed. And we didn't have much tools in my experience. And therefore, it got to the point where we just decided to let each other go. And for me, what felt is just like the letting go felt like the right thing to do. And there was, for me at least, like this unwavering clarity of like, there is no way I'm losing this person in my life. There is no, this is not something, it's not an option that I'm willing to even think because the love stayed there. It's not like we broke up because the love wasn't there. So I was like, okay, we're breaking up. I don't even see an option that she's not going to be in my life anymore. I don't know how, but that's how kind of like the journey began. And it's the funny thing that the journey, we thought the journey ends in that way, but like it was just the beginning of a very excited journey that we're now on and put a lot of work in and continue to put a lot of work in. And yeah, the honest truth is everywhere we go, people are like, wait a minute, how did you, especially because your now husband is one of my best friends. Um, and a lot of the time we're together and people are like, wait, so you're her ex and he's her husband and now he's your best friend. So people are like, that's the one thing. And the second thing is like, how do I do that? Can I even do that? How is that possible? What did you do? And what I answer to them is like, it took us it took us a minute. It's been a
Yeah.
journey. And that's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah, and I think, because you were living part-time in California, part-time in Mexico, and I met Jeff not that long after you and I split up. In fact, when I met him, I was like, nope, I need to be single. I need to come back to myself. I'm getting out of a relationship.
Mhm.
And and within a couple months it revealed itself to be the right relationship for me.
Mhm.
Um, and and you and I still hadn't seen each other. And then we saw each other maybe like 6 months later. And then, we were both sometimes in California, both sometimes in Mexico. But each year it would be kind of like we'd spend these long periods of time not seeing each other. And then you'd come back to California. And it kind of felt like it was like each year was another level of being able to reconnect, being able to heal what we needed to heal. And I also feel like that spaciousness really gave us the time and the space to be with whatever needed to be
Mhm.
processed without it being constantly in our faces. Um, it's not like we split up and all the triggers ended at all. It
Mhm.
was more like we split up and we were no longer each other's primary attachment figure, so the triggers shifted.
Mhm.
But each time, each year that we would see each other, and then throughout those years, there was a consistent process of what still needs to be healed in order for us to build a friendship, what
Mhm.
still needs to be looked at. how do we allow this to shift form and to come into connection and build trust with each other in this form, in this way. And something that I've seen, I mean, even just like a week ago, we had a, we wouldn't call it a fight. We had a, we had a situation.
Yeah,
and
we
and
processed. That's let's
we
say.
had a process. We had a process. Yeah. And part of what's beautiful about it is like, we were kind of in this, it was a little bit muddy. And then when it came down to it, and I hit that moment that I sometimes do where all of a sudden it hits the heart, sort of cracks open a little bit, and I allow that vulnerability to settle in. And I started to cry, and I was like, oh, this is the same pain. It's the same pain from 6, 7 years ago. It's in a totally different form. There's less attachment, there's less freak out, there's less because you're not my primary attachment figure. But that pain, that hurt, that sense of betrayal that was triggered by something in our relationship, right? That wasn't definitely wasn't started within our relationship, but that was triggered there. That does still exist in our friendship. And for me, so much of the process of developing this friendship is being willing to continue to work through those of like that really hurt, or here's why I reacted, and to continuously own those things and acknowledge that just because we're not in a relationship doesn't mean that we don't trigger things in each other, doesn't mean that we don't still have to lean into relating in a really conscious and really dedicated way.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And what I want to add is that the fact that we are still in a relationship, it's not the primary romantic relationship, and like as such, it's not like your primary attachment style. And we are in a very close, like you're one of the closest people to me. And like I consider you family today. I consider you my closest sister, and I appreciate what you say, and I appreciate your reflections, and I celebrate your wins, and I sometimes call you out on your bullshit when it's called for.
I
But
love when you do that. It's so
I love
helpful.
when you do that. So basically, like for me, a main element that needs to be clear here is that s- what stays is a commitment to a relationship, a commitment to the love. It's just in a different form. And here I want to just backtrace a little bit because yes, we had those breaks and we're like slowly healing everything. But for me, there was a very clear shift. It was kind of like after the first time I saw you after we broke up and you were already with Jeff, and it was kind of messy and painful. We were all doing our best. And then there was a shift that I felt like I don't want to sound too woo, but like our souls kind of maybe knew, but like in a way like the rest of us kind of agreed on, which is like, oh, you're my sister or you're my family. You know, sister
Yeah.
maybe is like I don't know if everyone resonates with that. It's kind of weird, but you're my family, and you're not going anywhere, and you're here to stay. And in that shift for me, that I was like, oh, click, and the love just like is allowed to shift from one way that I know it and how it should be, and if it's not in this way, then you should not be in my life. You know, all the textbook, all the rules that everyone say you cannot be friends with your ex, or your new girlfriend is saying like you still talking to your ex, and all of those things, and just carving a new way,
Yeah.
new pathway of like, oh, this love can shift. And actually, in that shift, it's even more deep. It's even
Mm.
more appropriate, I want to say, but like it fits, you know? And that is a question, that is the shift that happened there that for me, and I don't want to speak for you, but it felt like that clicking. And then I was like, okay, I can move in this way. I can treat you accordingly in this way. And I'm fully still committed to this love. And I'm still like having this because the biggest pain was like Am I going to lose this love? How can I lose this person that I love so much? And here in this new way was, I actually don't. I actually get to keep this love. And now, in this new form, we do the work just like in a relationship. Obviously, different um, because we don't trigger each other nearly as much. Not, not at all. But and then we work. Oftentimes on the same triggers from the relationship, but now you're reflecting to me that as my family, as someone who I really trust and don't have sex with. And um, what I also wanted to say here, because this was for me a huge teaching moment for everyone who's listening and for everyone who's in relationship, in friendship, in whatever like relationship that they are. A question that came up for me for this is, what do I need to shift or adjust in order to stay in love?
Mm.
Right? It might be I need to stop all communication in order to stay in love. So for people, it's like, oh, that's not love. I'm like, yeah, my heart still is open to this friend. But the way they're acting right now, this is what I need to adjust in order to stay in love. Versus staying close in what we should be and how friends are and yada yada yada. And we actually are dishonest, we're resenting, and it's not working. So this question of like we can continue taking steps forwards, backwards, sideways, and adjust in order to stay in love.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the biggest adjustment that we've done, and it works.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have you as one of my closest people, and still one of the people I love the most, and would do go to the end of the world for. Um, if I didn't do this and was super clear in myself, because it's not like there is a, so some people might hear like, oh, there's some still hooks there, or like there's something or a hidden agenda, and I want to say there isn't. I just love you, and that's it. And I love your relationship, I love your marriage, I love Jeff, um, and it's because we managed to adjust to what love wants, to
Yeah.
what love is, to the honesty of that versus what we might think or what might society say.
Yeah. I'm having a memory of, I think it was maybe like a year and a half after not being together. And I remember we had gone through already some processes of like this, how do we make this work? How do we make this work in a way that this friendship work in a way that actually feels right? And I remember you asked me like, you feel closed to me right now. Like something feels like there's some wall here. And I remember telling you like, yeah, it needs to be there right now. Like in for the sake of this friendship, it actually needs to be there because I'm figuring out what the whole thing feels like to have you as a friend in my life. And like that is the truest thing for me right now. That's actually in support of our friendship. And of course it hurts if the person's kind of closed to you or a little bit shut down, but allowing the processes that were very natural to happen, that those moments of like I've got to kind of close my heart a little right now in order to clear everything internally so that I can be here in a clean, clear, honest way.
Yeah, and that hurts, and that's scary, and that's like just like every relation, it's like all the things, the rejection or the thing, or like why can't you, blah blah, all the inner voices, and then just like in a relationship, like are you still in? Are you
Mm.
trusting this love? Are you like willing to do what it takes and to give them what they need, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so it's a very beautiful thing that I feel like you really need to commit to the love and to agree to move with it.
Yeah, and I think part of, when people ask me about our process with this, something that's also really important is that we both were very committed to that. And there's no way to force it. Like, we can't force somebody else to want to show up in a certain way. And I think part of what has made this work is that both of us have been committed to healing what's there for us, leaning in to developing this friendship in a way that it asks us to look at our shit. It asks us to sit with uncomfortable triggers. It asks a lot of us, and if only when both of us are available for that is it actually possible.
Yeah, 100%. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I really want to be close with my ex, like these two people are saying, is like, yeah, they need to be into it too, right? Because it is work. And that's oftentimes what I hear with people who answer, like, he wants it, but she kind of doesn't. Or
Mm,
she wants it, but he kind of doesn't. So
right.
in that case, yeah.
Yeah. And also just want to own that a lot of relationships end in a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of heartbreak. Often there's betrayal or these sort of blowouts that you and I genuinely did not have. It was like there was there were pain points, there were things that both of us did that didn't feel good to the other that were super painful, but we did generally end things in like quite a peaceful way. And I remember it was so sad. We were in Mexico and you were flying to Europe, and it was this like, when you fly we split up, and I remember it was like excruciating. It was so painful. There was this goodbye, and I remember the next day my heart felt so free
Hmm.
because it was the right thing,
Hmm.
because the love was so strong, but there was like this heaviness of we're in a relationship that isn't the right relationship for us. And I felt so and I was so surprised. I was like, wait, what? I feel so free and happy, even though I also feel so sad and deep in this process. But for me, something rang true that you shared a little bit ago, which was just about like now it fits even better. And I think that's part of this, is that when somebody recently said to us, like, I think we were talking about our astrology, and they were like, well, maybe you were together in a past life. We were like, no, we were twins in a past life. We were siblings for sure. There's this compatibility between us that is a family, like, deep friendship energy. And when you find someone like that, it can be challenging to not want to hold on to it as a romantic relationship. But the truest thing for us was actually that wasn't the truest form for us. Not just because of our pain, the way that I see it, it wasn't just because of our pains and our shadows. It was genuinely like the compatibility in terms of our romantic relationship selves. Like it just wasn't the proper format. And now we found the proper format. And like you said, it's just the relationship has become even deeper now that we found the right format for it, which is that deep friendship.
Mm. Yeah. I think another point for me is like, because people, we are scared a lot from, from a lot of things, from rejection and like a bunch of inner voices and feelings that we don't want to feel, that navigates us.
Mm.
So one of those is the idea of losing love, right? So we're afraid to like break up because we're gonna lose love. We're afraid to ask someone out because we're afraid to be rejected. And we're people pleasing because we want to maintain the love, or we think that's the way, right? Or whatever your shadow is saying at that moment. But for me, it was like, in that shifting, in that agreement to shift into what love wants. It's very lovey-dovey, this whole podcast, but like, good. And that's just what it is. And in that agreement to click and to shift into what love wants, it's actually, there is more love.
Yeah.
And
Less story, more love.
less story, more love, less trying, more love,
Yeah.
less near, like almost, but it's not fully it, and more love, right? And like one of the biggest examples for me that I got from this is by agreeing to shift, I got, you could say, lost a partner, but I got a sister, let's say for now. You annoy me sometimes like a sister, that works. So I gained a sister, but not only did I gain a sister, I also gained a brother. Your
Yeah.
now husband, Jeff, who's one of my closest and dearest. And I was like, damn, that was a good deal. Like, lose one, get two. It's even better, less drama and all the things. So what if that can be like that? What if we agree and we're like, I'm gonna lose all the love? What if you don't? What if you get more? What if you
Yeah.
can be feel better than you ever expected and imagined it could be? Because
Yeah.
that's how we are today. I kind of feel like we have the best parts of our relationship minus the hardest ones, and they
Yeah.
sometimes peekaboo, but like, yeah, but who would have thought? Because the fear
Mm.
was, I'm going to lose this person. I don't want to lose this person. I don't want to lose this person. And it's like, and that is a valid fear. But what if you can find a way to have more love? So I got the two versus I would hold to the story and I'm like, no, this is the only way we should be. This is the only way I know. I'm not willing to let go of this. And then I would have lost everything. Like, there wouldn't be love in this channel, right? So yeah, it's just something to think about and lean into.
It also gave us both the gift of finding partners who were more compatible for us.
Mm.
And seeing both of us in our relationships now, I'm like, thank goodness. Like we are both so deeply in such deep compatibility with the partners that we're with now.
Mm-hmm.
And and that choice to trust it, to trust that this isn't right, opened us up for that. And I will also say, like, our relationship taught me so much about how to love, about how to show up, how to communicate, how to understand my own needs, desires, boundaries, how to listen to somebody else's. And our relationship in so many ways prepared me for my relationship with Jeff. It was like such a catalyst for like a whole other level of loving. And so it's been so beautiful to see that what I learned during that time prepared me for the love that I have with Jeff, and that our friendship continues to be a place that is a deep support for my relationship
Mm.
in so many ways. And one of those ways is that you know me so well. And so when I'm ever having a challenging moment with within my relationship, within my current relationship, I know I can come to you and say, what am I not seeing? What am I doing here? Call me out on my things because you know me so well.
Mm.
I have like three friends who I will go to and be like, what do you see? What am I doing? I don't want to hear, no, he's doing it wrong. What I want to hear is how I can open more to this, to love, how I can see my blind spots here. And the way that you support me in those moments of, here's my reflection for you, here's how you can love even better. Like it just continues. That gift just
Mm-hmm.
continues. I feel your devotion also to me and Jeff's
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And I mean, we can pinpoint that in this beautiful, beautiful moment at me and Jeff's wedding when you were going up to make a speech and you went down onto the floor in front of us on your knees, took off your hat, hand on your heart, and gave us this prayer of dedication, of devotion, of admiration, of love, of respect for our relationship. And for me, that was such a beautiful act in and of itself, especially because it is so backed by the way that you actually show up for us, the way that you actually support our relationship, support when we need when we need somebody to talk to who really fucking gets it, support us in the way that you continue to dedicate yourself to a friendship with both of us, and a friendship with us as a unit, as like that feeling of we are family. And that moment represented so much to me as a, I am here for you guys. I will be an uncle to your children. Like no matter what you need, I am here for it. I'm here for both of you, and I'm here for you
Mm.
as a unit.
Yeah, I almost teared up a little bit, and because that was such a beautiful moment of yeah, of devotion, and it's devotion to you guys and to my love, to you, to each of you individually, and to your love and the bright light that it is. So again, a commitment to love, about above all else. And it's a practice. You know, I'm
Mm.
talking big aspects here, but like, hey, you want to walk this path like that? You're committing to love, you know, to truth. What is love saying? What is the truth? And that is for me a practice that I live by, and is, yeah, it's what makes sense to me. Um, so that was a very beautiful moment, and also for me, I wanna like kind of use it as a segue to something which is, you know, because a lot of people might say like, well, what would my new partner say when they know like I'm friends with my ex, or like, you know, and it's so funny again, like because it's a non-negotiable for me. It's like I'm not even like it's so obvious. So now with my new partner, I'm just like, hey, this is Fabi. She's my best friend and the closest person for me, and she's my partner, like, my ex-partner for 2 years, and it's a package deal. You know, it's like, and it's just like reminds me of like what Jeff told me, one of the like at the beginning of your when we first met, and he was like, yeah, I didn't realize the relationship with Fabi comes with an Ori, you know? And I'm gonna be your best friend. Having my new partner know you as that, and it's like, oh, okay, that's the deal. And then they see that beauty, and actually it opens their heart more, and actually it says something to her about me and how I love, and then you now are in a like developing a beautiful relationship. And the fact that, you know, I can call you and say like, hey, this is what's hard, this is what's coming up, and like I even remember like calling you like a few weeks ago and saying like, hey, this is hard, like something that I'm not managing to convey to her, something like that, and you, without saying anything to me, just reached out to her directly with a 10 minutes video, just helping out, basically helping out. And she told me like Fabi reached out to me and she made it all better. Like in 2 minutes, I just listened to her. Like, wow, what a woman! Like, and she was just like, and I was just like, I heard that not even from you, and I was just like, I know that you've got my back, and I know that you show up for this love, and I know. So it's so beautiful to me, and also the times that you call me out on my shit. You know, even things that are not so nice to hear, Fabi. Uh, but we've done so much work that by now, and you do know me more than anyone else, and you are able to communicate that for me, and I trust your intentions. So it's not like you're getting back to me on our relationship or something like that. But I know I can trust you. So I'm like, if Fabi reflects something to me, I'm like, I'm gonna take that seriously because this space is cultivated because I trust her, because I love her, because I know her love to me.
Still working on my delivery sometimes.
You're working on that. Beautiful. I mean, also, maybe I can return a favor with a question to you then. Like, why? Some of my partners, most of them, to be honest, but like you've made it a point almost to befriend them, to be nice to them, to create a relationship to them. And I'm wondering for you as a woman and for you just as a person and in relation to everything we're talking about, why do you make it a point to reach out, to create a relationship to them, to show up the way you do with my new partners?
Yeah, a few reasons. One is you and I have generally similar taste in people. So I, I usually assume that they're probably fucking amazing humans. And there's something so beautiful in the connection that happens between there's a specific version of intimacy when you've both been with the same person, when you both have been in deep relationship with the same person. There's a specific level of knowing that happens there. I have this as well with Jeff's exes who I've met, where there's this immediate connection of you know what it is to love that person so deeply. You know what it is to be loved by that person so deeply. And there is something shared and so almost like private in that feeling. And so when I meet somebody who is your new partner, there's this recognition. There's this recognition of like a deep heart something. There's some thread there. And and it also feels like such a gift of this is this is the person that one of my very closest people in the world who I love and respect so deeply is choosing. And so what a gift that I get to know this person. I get to deepen with this person. I get to feel their essence through the lens of kind of like, well, we're family now, right? There's that there's like a comfort right away. And for me, it's also right in this partnership that you're in now, it's like we're about to spend a lot of time together. Like we're going to spend a lot of time together. And I like if you and I are family, then whoever you are with is automatically
Mm.
my family. And so I'm not wasting any time in this life. I'm like, great, we're gonna be family. Let's get to know each other. Let's build a relationship. And for me, that relationship just means it doesn't mean overstepping boundaries. It doesn't mean I need to know everything. It doesn't mean we need to hang out all the time. What it means is you know that I'm here. You know I've got your back. You know that you can reach out to me. You know that we can lean into developing a sense of familyship. And for me, it's like whoever is standing by your side is immediately within my close circle, even if I don't know them well yet, like by association. And there is like an honor to get to know them, a deep desire to get to know them, and also a deep desire to let them know what my intention is, which is like, hey, I'm here as family. I'm here to support both your relationship and just you as humans. And so you've had a couple of partners since you and I were together, and I'm still in contact with them, even though you've split up with everyone other than who you're with now. But I'm still in contact with them. We still have communication because in there was such an honesty in that meeting of like, hey, there's a shared thread here already, so let's deepen in. And I don't take those relationships lightly either. Like in those, that dedication to us as family was to really deeply drop in with those people. And so because I did that, I got really close, beautiful sisterhood with
Mm.
those people. And with your current partner, I am just getting to know her. Um, and there's just this, there's like an already existing respect because of what you shared with me about her, because of the fact that she's who you're choosing. And and I so deeply respect your perceptions of people, of the world, of relating. And so just inherently the fact that she's with you, I'm like, mad respect, girl. Like, let's get to know each other. And there's such an excitement too, where I'm like, oh, I get to drop in with this person. We get to have Friday dinners together. We get to
Mm.
go on family outings, go canoeing or whatever families do. We've never
Love me
gone
some
canoeing. We
canoeing.
should do that.
Um,
Me too.
Thank you for that very beautiful answer. And I think I wonder if I can follow up with another question. Is that this is our story? So it's a very beautiful, intricate, inspiring, invigorating. I'm just like blowing our own horn here. But for other people who are like, I wanna potentially cultivate that, or I'm afraid to, or I don't know if it's possible for me. Like, what would you say? Like, I don't know that we can translate this story, but what would you
Mm.
suggest to people who are wanting to stay friends with their ex? Or
One thing I'd say is don't rush it.
mm,
I have a few friends who have split up and been like, okay, I'm inspired to have a relationship like that. We didn't see each other for 6 months. We barely spoke during that time, here and there. But I think it's so important to let it take its natural process and to really deeply be with the letting go process. and not have it be this I want to immediately jump from one type of relationship to the next, but rather give it time, give your being time, because it can be weird. It's like, wait, what? We were like supposedly life partners, and then now we're like homies, like calling each other sister. Like, there's a transition period, right? Now it's the most natural thing in the world.
I
That
mean, I
feels so
don't
right.
still
But
don't call you
there's
sister.
you don't really call my sister.
Sister.
Sister. I remember I was like, I figured out what you are to me. You're my spirit animal. And I thought you were going to be so excited. And you're like, I don't think I like
I don't know what I think about that.
that. Fine.
What does this job entail?
Yeah. You're like, what? So what are my roles now as your spirit animal?
Um, Beautiful.
But yeah, taking the time it needs and individually doing the inner work that needs to be
Mm,
done there. Not trying to make it happen between you. Like so much of why this is possible, why this friendship is possible, is because we both do our work separately. We both do our thing
mm,
separately.
yeah.
We're not still like hours long processing to try to heal the thing. We're doing it in our own space, and then coming to each other from
Mhm.
that place.
And sometimes we process together.
Sometimes we process
Yeah,
together. Yeah.
beautiful.
I also think, something I noticed was when you and me and Jeff started praying
Mm,
together. That felt like a huge shift.
mhm,
A huge shift. We started praying together in ceremonies in Mexico. And it felt like we locked in as a family during that
yeah.
time. It felt like we managed to see each other and feel each other and allow this to transform into what it is in such a beautiful way. And there's something so profound specifically within that style of ceremony that we were working in, where you are praying aloud to the fire, and there's something so vulnerable and so true about those prayers. It is a full revealing
Mm,
of the heart. And when the three of us were there together, really revealing, here is my the pain that might be here, and also here is my prayer, here is my wish, here is my intention, here is the truth of my heart. I really feel something shifted in that
mm,
time. And so, like you said at the beginning, living a path of prayer where there is a conversation with more than just what am I thinking, what am I feeling, what are my traumas here, what do I want, but a deeper spiritual conversation happening, a deeper conversation with self, with each other, with the divine, with the fire, in that form of bringing ourselves. It allowed this to be what
mm.
it is. I truly see that as a massively catalyzing point when we started doing that together.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that, and I remember like, oh, we're on. Oh, we're a family now. But for me, it was also like a moment of being in that intimacy, and also coming to him and clearing in front of him and apologizing for what I had to apologize, and to let him know I see him and I see your love, and basically like expressing my devotion to your love. Um, yeah, basically completed the shift into from romantic partnership to kind of family. And yeah,
Yeah,
in that prayer space, it was very beautiful. I remember
yeah,
that very 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 vividly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I feel so deeply grateful for Jeff's support of our friendship, and I've been feeling this throughout this whole conversation, just the ways that he sees our friendship, respects our friendship, supports our friendship. That man is something else. He's truly something else. And it's also really beautiful to see that he's now trained both of us also in shadow work, in shadow integration. And so many of the tools that we have for this healthy friendship and for your healthy friendship with him have been like this deep offering from him of how to work with the hard pieces, how to work with the edges that feel uncomfortable, and just sending him some mad respect and love for the ways that
Cool,
he
cool.
supports this.
Yeah. I'm wondering what I would say to someone who's trying to think about that on that question that I asked you before. Just to sprinkle some gold here for anyone who's listening. I'm completely agreeing with don't rush it. I would say make it consensual that you both want it, like we said before. Um, I would say ask yourself if you're ready to actually do the work, to continue doing the work in a different way, because it's actually going to continue in a different form, different intensity. But yeah, I like Fabi said, things from our relationship, dynamics from our relationship still pop up in our friendship, and we work on them, and from where we are at in each other's lives. So it's great. I love it most of the time. And yeah, that agreement to let go of the story and commit to love and continuously asking again. I'm kind of recapping, I guess, but like continuing to ask, what do I need in order to stay in love, and am I committed to this love? I think those are the things that I suggest. But first of all, see if that's the case. See if you have
Yeah.
someone to work with. Because if you're dealing with a
Right.
wall, you're not gonna be best friends with your ex's wall, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, just save yourself time because if they're not there, you also need to take care of your heart. I think why this worked is
Yeah.
because both of us like we're in it for the long run, and I feel like we're in it for life, like literally. I wanna be the uncle of your kids, and I want to raise my kids next to you and Jeff. So, um, yeah, I really deeply hope for that for any of you that are listening and are aspiring to that. To just let you know it's possible. It's possible with the cleanest hearts. Like, I really wanna emphasize that it's so beautiful because it's clean, because it's honest.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, if it's not clean and it's not honest, ask yourself those questions
Yeah.
because you don't want that for anyone. That's not gonna bring more love.
And that's the process also to clean it. Is this a desire for friendship, or is this a hook because it's too
Mm.
painful to let go? Noticing where the cleaning needs to happen. Once I've cleaned that hook, then is there still a genuine
Yeah,
desire for friendship? And there won't always
yes.
be. That's the other thing. Like there are certain relationships where like the honest thing is not to develop a friendship, where that doesn't actually make sense. That's not the
Mm.
truest thing to
Yeah.
move into.
So yeah, to piggyback off of Fabi's, like we're not advocating for all exes to be best friends, right? It's not always
No.
appropriate, and true. Like Fabi just said, like maybe you don't want to be their friends. Maybe you just wanted to be their partners. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ori, thank you so much. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for all of our conversations. I love our chats. We a few years ago had this idea to start recording our conversations, and so we have some funny voice memo conversations of like driving to Costco and all of a sudden having this amazing conversation on topics like this. It's such a joy to get to hear the way that you think, and also just because you do men's work, because you do work around sexuality, we have this shared playing ground for where we actually do our work, and it's so beautiful because I'm a woman doing this work and you're a man doing this work. It's so great to be able to bounce ideas off of each other. So much our conversations inspire and inform my understanding of all of this work so deeply, and I'm so grateful for our conversations in that realm, and just so incredibly grateful for this friendship that is so loving, so confronting in all the best ways. It's so honest, it's so real, it's so forgiving, and I'm so deeply grateful for you in my life. I
I
love you
love you
so
so
much.
much. And yeah, we're here for it. All of it.
Let's
Fucking go!
go.
Woo, woo, woo.
All right, Ori, thank you, thank you. So, if anybody on this podcast wants to hear more about the work that you do, they've definitely gotten a nice little window into the kind of man that you are from this conversation. If they're curious to work with you more, how can they find you?
So, glad you asked. You can find me on Instagram. Like maybe there we can add the handle, but it's basically Ori three underscore. I think you call him three underscores. Dahan,
Mhm.
Dahan. And there's a lot of free content there, and like I post all of my events there and like the ways to work with me. And also I have my website, which is www at dot oridahan oridahan.com. And also there you can see all the things.
Beautiful. And I'll link all of those in
Yeah,
the show
thank you.
notes. Thank you.
And just like you said, I have online programs for groups. I work one on one. I work with men, women, couples, all areas from relationship to shadow work to masculine empowerment to purpose work to sexuality. Yeah, basically, if you need help, I'm here. This is my purpose. This is my life's work. So, super happy to support you
Mm.
if you feel in resonance.
Thank you so much, Ori.
Thank you. Love you. See you soon.